halls where secrets lie. Deals are made beneath the smoky sky. Whispers echo like a loaded gun. All the bosses men, the chosen ones. Leather shoes, step on marbled stone. Voices cold as ice, hearts of stone. Every nod's a pact, every glance a knife. This is not a game, it's the way of life. All the bosses men, they never fall. Standing tall behind the curtain's call. Loyal to the oath till the bitter end. This is how it goes with all the bosses men.
Either you're going to be proud of who you are and fight for it, or you're going to be ashamed of it. It's obvious what I've done is obvious what I created. I'm not a jerk. If I drew a picture, I know I drew that picture. I created that. I know what I created, you know what I mean?
All the bosses men, they never fall. Standing tall behind the curtain's call. Loyal to the oath till the bitter end. This is how it goes with all the bosses men.
All right, we are live with Louis Kasman. Hope everyone is doing well. Louis, how are you, man?
Okay, Jesse, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Here we
same
are
here.
again, Louis, Sunday evening.
Yep. Sunday evening, 7:00. Good to go.
All right. Looks like we've got about 40 people that have joined us. I'm sure people will slowly join. Let me see who we got in the comments.
You know, Jess, I just want to get into this whole thing with Mikey DiLeonardo, Mikey Scars.
Right.
And, there's a couple of things that I want to say.
Right. I want to get into that as well. But yeah, go ahead. The floor is yours.
You know, people keep asking, and I see comments, my feeling about Mikey Scars hasn't changed. But it's time for Mikey Scars to own up who he is and who he was during that time period. And you can't hide behind, RJ, and you can't hide behind, your narrative being that's the narrative and that's 100% the way it was, because that your narrative is not 100%. Okay, because you respond to my sister in her show, you respond to her comments, she responds to your comments. I find that a little weird, a little bizarre. But okay, maybe my theory is right. Maybe Scars and Junior had their own little thing going on in terms of if there was going to be a cooperation agreement and if people were going to cooperate. I don't know that to be factual, but I find it strange that Angel throws him loves and kisses and he throws her loves and kisses. I just find that a little strange. But okay. And as far as, listen, Mikey Scars was in the right place at the right time. Junior needed a sidekick, okay? And Mikey Scars was there. John Sr. did like Mikey Scars. I think Mikey embellishes the relationship a little bit. But I think, yes, Sr. did, have a good vibe and a good feeling for Scars. And I think it went both ways. But when Junior sent for his son to go to Raybrook, when Junior sent for Scars' son to go to Raybrook, what was that? To tell him, I'm your uncle and I'm still your uncle and I love you? It's time for Scars to face the truth and face the facts. Either you tell everybody that you and Junior had a deal. I won't hurt you. You don't hurt me. We love each other. You can keep all the money you took from construction. Because Scars did do a good job for Junior, and but Scars was rewarded very nicely. And in that life, you do nothing for nothing, and Mikey was rewarded handsomely. So my personal feelings, I like Mikey Scars, but I don't like the foolishness that goes on. I love you, you love me, Angel loves you, Mikey, you don't love me, don't talk about my brother, don't talk about my father, only say nice things. That's all crap. And anybody with any intelligence and any reality to this understands that that's all a bunch of crap. Yeah, Pete did despise Mikey Scars. Yes, he did. And what he did to Scars when Scars was locked up in the MCC was 100% wrong, 1,000% wrong. I expressed that to Pete, and others came to bat for Scars as well. But again, in keeping it real and in keeping reality, let's just tell it like it is. You want to call me a scumbag, call me a scumbag. But you can't have it both ways, Scars. He sent for your son, and your son went running up there to see his uncle, Uncle John. Let's clarify that. Correct? Correct. Angel commented to you, and you responded back in capital letters. Hope everybody's healthy, etc., 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 etc. Those are not my words, Scars. Those are your words. And another thing, that Denoy restaurant was not owned by Jackie D'Amico, your captain at the time. That restaurant was owned by John Sr. and Carl Lizza from Lizza Industries. Carlo Vaccarezza was put in there to run it, and he ran it, and he robbed it. Like most people do in that life. They run and they rob. That's what Vaccarezza did. Jackie Knows didn't have a piece of that because there was no money coming out of that restaurant. Because I had the books and records every week. There was no money coming out of that restaurant that went to Jackie Knows because there was no money. We weren't making any money there. Or maybe Carlo was taking the money. That I don't know. Although John Sr. and Jr. always said he was a thief. But who knows? So I just wanted to clear that up. And these other people, say what you want about Jeff Nadeau, but whatever he had to say, he said it. He didn't hide behind other people's websites. He didn't hide behind the fireplace in the background and cobwebs in the ceiling. He didn't do that. He wasn't in the basement of somebody's house. Whatever Nadeau said, he said it. And he said it either live or he said it on a pre-record. He didn't hide behind other people, and he didn't steal other people's content like that is going on right now in this genre by certain people. I won't mention their name because I don't want to make them feel important because they're not important. They're lowlifes and they're has-beens. So you know who you are. Create your own content. Do your own thing. And let's just tell it like it is. And another thing, Scars, why do you keep playing all these tapes? You love John? You love John Sr. so much? Why are you playing all these tapes that no one really has in their possession? You're getting it under freedom of information or what's on these different websites. Why would you play those things with him and his daughter? For what reason? The guy was locked up 23 and a half hours a day. What did you want him to do? Greet people? I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for coming to see me. The guy was in a door cage. He was in a crate. So get off your high horse, Mikey Scars. Have another drink. Maybe you need another drink or some hot tea. You seem to like hot tea a lot. And let's just tell it like it is. The only difference between you and Gravano, Scars, is that you're not a degenerate and you're not a lowlife, whereas Gravano is a degenerate and a lowlife. But as far as cooperating and testifying, you testified against more wise guys than Gravano did, because your testimony was more up to date. But it's when you went to testify against Junior, you kept it nice and, schmish-schmobbed it around, as Jackie D'Amico used to say. You kept it nice and kind. And that was okay. That was probably the deal you and Junior had. I guess. I don't know that to be factual. But to constantly keep running these tapes about Senior and telling everybody, I love him, I miss him, he did this for me, he did that for me. Listen, you can't have it both ways. And that's the end of that whole thing about Mikey Scars. I have nothing else to say about Mikey Scars. Yeah, he was a good guy. He helped Junior a lot. That he did too. But he was paid for it. And whatever he wasn't paid for, he took. He's the one that admitted that he had a $3 million house on Staten Island. I don't know anybody could, first of all, live on Staten Island. And I don't know anybody could have a house for $3 million on Staten Island, except maybe Paul Castellano. So, again, in the interest of keeping it real, where'd you get the $3 million from? You certainly didn't have a good Yuma truck. Scaramix wasn't giving you no money. You got that from the Gambino family, Michael. All right? The Gambino family. Gambino. Gambino, also known as the Gotti family. That's where you got it from. So, again, let's just keep it the way it is. You were giving interviews all over town at the Boca Resort, over here, over there. You, Scars, was doing all that. You keep playing all the tapes. You played the most horrendous tape anybody could ever play when Junior went to see his father, when his father had 4 months to live. That's a scumbag move, what you did, to play that tape. If Junior wanted to release that tape, that was his business. That was his father. You didn't have that relationship, and you didn't have that privilege to play that tape. Junior had that privilege, not you. And that was a scumbag move to play that tape. So don't profess and don't go on here and keep telling everybody how you love John and you love this and you love that. There's no difference between you and Gravano except that you're not a degenerate. Otherwise, there's no difference. I sound like Mark Levin on Fox News right now. But, I had just
you
had
come out hot, Lewis.
My chest. That one tape, Jesse, he played, showed him up for who he is. He never loved John Gotti, because if he did, he never would have played that tape with Junior visiting his father. So what else you got planned for tonight, Jesse?
Well, let me ask you this, Lewis. I mean, I think, we've done several videos and you never really spoke about Mikey Scars that much until, you started to open up last week. Was there a specific thing that happened, or what led to this? Like you said, you didn't really change your opinion or anything like that, but what led to you opening up about it? I mean, did something happen? Did they say something? I don't know.
No, nothing at all. I saw that tape with Junior talking to his father. And that really set me off. There was no reason to play that tape. Anybody else could have played it, but Scar should have never played that tape. Okay, and we all know, listen, RJ's making money off Scars. Who would know RJ if not for Michael DiLeonardo? Nobody would know RJ. Okay, he wrote a book. God bless him. Again, nobody would know the guy. So yes, he's making a living off of Mikey Scars, and I get that. That's okay. That's fine. But you can't have it both ways. You cooperated. You did what you had to do. You handled construction for Junior. You didn't do it for nothing. You didn't give Junior a fair shake on the construction. You know it. I know it. Everybody on the street knows it. Okay? So the point is, you playing that tape was despicable with Junior talking to his father. Despicable. Okay? So just tell it like it is. Just say what it is. Stop the love affair with Angel, because Angel, they hate you and you hate them like they hate me. They hate anybody that doesn't agree with them. But for you to comment to her and her to comment to you, you're a fraud. You're a fraud. Why don't you just come on and say, hey, I'm Mikey Scars and I'm a fraud? And again, I'm not I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way or anyone to say, why do I feel this way? I just did my homework and I did my research because I don't really do this whole YouTube thing. And I just saw different things that was going on. And I just think it's just terrible to, for Scars to play this game, the love you game. There was no love you. There was no love you game. It was called the money game. It was called the money game. How can I screw Junior and his father when I was handling construction? That's what that was called. And again, maybe Pete Gotti was right. I stuck up for you, though. Not that I had so much influence with Pete Gotti. I don't want to delude myself. No one had influence with Pete Gotti, unless you were bringing him green. But let's just keep it real, Michael. Let's just keep it real, because what happens is you do get bitter after listening to some of these people, and that's why I say you look at a guy like Nadeau. At least Nadeau kept it real. Maybe exaggerated, maybe whatever, but at least he kept it real. He didn't pretend to have relationships with anybody, just like Jesse, just like other good people that want to say things. But the bullshit has to stop. Don't put other people on your show. You never put you put Cardinale on your show, Anthony Cardinale. He was never John Gotti Sr.'s or Junior's lawyer. Where did you come to that? And where do you let him get away with that? At least if you're going to put people on, when you put people on, why don't you just hold their feet to the coals and tell them he represented Frankie Lowe, Cardinale, and then Cardinale was an errand boy. He was used as an errand boy. That's it. Oh, and he wanted to open up a garbage company in Boston, so he needed Senior's permission, and he went to Junior. And I was with Junior in Boston on the harbor when he went for permission, an attorney, to open up a mob-associated garbage route in Boston. So that's the story about Mikey Scars and about Denoy and about who owned it and who didn't own it, and all about these stories and everything else. And if anybody wants clarification, additional, I'd rather not waste my time on it. But if anybody wants more about it, and Scars didn't risk his life for nobody. Who did Scars risk his life for? Scam the Gottis. Junior didn't know he was scamming him until after the fact. Junior had no idea how much was coming out of construction, except for what we were told by Gravano when Gravano was the underboss. And everybody knows Gravano was scamming and robbing. If Gravano was giving me and someone else in my presence a shoebox with $200,000 or $300,000 in it on a Sunday at his house, what was he robbing? What was he really scamming? So, all right, let's go. Let's move on. I devoted too much time to Mikey Scars. And if anybody doesn't get it by now, they're never going to get it. And like I said, I liked him when he was in the life. He was okay. But when he played that tape, and I don't care about anybody else playing it, when he played that tape with Junior talking to his father, and everybody saw what John looked like on that tape, you're worse than Gravano, except that you're not a degenerate. But otherwise, you're worse than Gravano. To play that tape. Time for another drink, Michael.
Well, Lewis, I want you to speak your
mind. You want to know really
and,
how I feel, huh?
Yeah.
How do you really feel, Lewis?
That's right. I must say, like I said, I want you to speak your mind, my opinion. I've never spoke to Michael. I've spoke to RJ several times, and my opinion, he's a good guy. I like RJ. I just want to throw that out there. I never
met him. I never spoke to him. I'm sure he is a good guy, but he's making his tit on Scars. Let's face it. Maybe he's helping Scars because I don't think Scars has the intellect to know how to set it all up and do everything the way RJ does it. But they're both. Listen, I don't make any money off YouTube. They make money off YouTube.
Right. Yeah, I can say that you're not. You've never.
Have I ever asked you for a dime?
Never. I will say that.
I don't need it. See, because I didn't need it. I didn't have to steal. I didn't have to do any of these other things that these guys in the life had to do, because I was well taken care of. Well taken care of.
Gotcha. Well, Lewis, we jump right into it, man.
Jess, besides that tape that he played, for him to have a repertoire, remember, I was 100 times closer to that Gotti family than Scars. Uncle John. Go to Uncle John in Raybrook. Give me a break, Scars. That was a message to you to keep your mouth shut. So for him to have a back and forth between my sister, that Dumbo sister of mine, that I don't know what she's doing on that show, and have a love fest between each other. I wanted to listen to the tape that Mikey Scars put on, him and RJ put on the show. She should listen to that tape and look at her father with her brother sitting there and Scars playing it now. So,
gotcha.
What else, Jesse?
Well, let me welcome everybody here to the show. You can tell we're Lewis is coming in hot. Be sure to hit that like button. Got a comment here that says, problem is Scars and RJ have established themselves to be honest. You unfortunately just came on the scene and haven't earned that trust from the viewers, according to me, with all due respect.
Well, Vladdy, let me tell you something. I might be new on the scene, but I'm old on the scene. Okay? Because I know Scars, no one could keep Scars in check. Because no one knows. Nadu doesn't know. These other clowns that they have 3 viewers on Monday and 80 viewers on Tuesday. No one watches their show. No one cares. A Proctor guy, he has viewers. This Scott Bernstein, he makes stuff up as he goes along. Nadu, a lot of haters out there, but a lot of stuff he said has credibility. You gotta call a spade a spade. So everybody's got to be called into check. Not only Scars, but everybody. If someone has something to say about me, say it. If you can correct me or make me see it a different way, you can tell me. But remember, you weren't there. If I'm saying it, I was there. Yeah, and I was in a very unique role with John Sr., extremely unique. Never in the history of organized crime was there someone so unfiltered close to a boss like John Gotti Sr. No one, and never be again. No one. And no one took care of a boss the way I did. The room I put him in, the room in the Helmsley Palace, there were no bugs in that room. There were no FBI agents in Junior's wedding. If we let Sammy do it, there would have been a bug. There would have been agents in the wedding. I know I'm a bad guy. I cooperate. I did this, I did that. If you listen to my sister. Where were all the agents? Where were all the bugs? Anything John Sr. tasked me to do, never compromised. Never compromised. And the proof is in the pudding. See, people, John used to say, people lie. And people only lie when they're scared. If you know John Gotti Sr., those were his words. You only lie if you're in fear of something or you're trying to spin it.
Vladdy says, good point about the tapes. Not really necessary.
100%. You're absolutely right. If Scars cared any bit about Senior, just from a human point of view, anybody else could have put that on. And you know what? We would have said, whatever, they did it. They shouldn't have done it. But Scars did it. So don't profess the love you had for John. And don't tell us about the martinis you had for the chief. You're full of shit, Scars. It was all about the money. You're just like everybody else. Let's have a drink to the chief. And you're playing the tape with him all chopped up, cut up from the BOP. You're playing the tape with Junior having his final goodbye to his father. It doesn't get lower than that. Let's drink to that, Scars. Have another drink and have a cup of tea. Does RJ make you your tea? You know. Let's stop the phony crap and let's just tell it like it is. I didn't like how Pete treated you. But you know what? The more I'm learning about you, I don't mind. But I didn't like it at the time because I didn't know a hell of a lot about you at that point. You know, you played your cards good with me too. You kissed my ass pretty good, Scars. And you kissed Junior's ass pretty good too.
Man, Lewis.
No, listen, just keep it. It's called Louis Kasman Unfiltered on American Made.
That's right. And I want you to be unfiltered.
If you don't want me to be Louis Kasman, then this will be my last show. That's all. What can I tell you? This is who I am. And this is why John loved me. Of course, I was very respectful all the time, and I know how to pick and choose my battles with John Sr. But you can only respect people when they tell it like it is.
But was there something, I know I asked you this a second ago, but there had to be something that was said. Was there something said about you specifically, or that made, because you haven't opened up like this in recent shows? Was there something that happened?
What happened was someone, like I said, I don't listen to a lot of these YouTubes, and someone that listens to them brought it to my attention about the love fest between Angel and Scars. And so that's and then when I went, when I did the look back and I saw that tape with Senior talking to Junior, it just was not acceptable in my mind, and it wasn't nice, and you know what? Angel should look at that tape every night. Every time she wants to send another love note to Scars, she should look at the tape that him and RJ, not RJ, him. He's running that show. He could have told RJ, don't put that up with Junior and Senior. I don't want to be the one to put that up. Let others put that up. How much did you make on that tape? How much was monetized for you on that tape? More than Tony Lynn got for that $3 million house on Staten Island, huh? Enough is enough, Scars. Stop playing your crap. If Scars is mad that nobody went to his brother's funeral or the wake, that's not on John Gotti Sr. Put the blame where it belongs. Go to Castellano. Tell him you're mad. Or tell his son at Scaramix.
Vladdy says Scars would be risking his life if he scammed the Gottis. Doesn't make sense, Lewis.
Vlad, you don't know what you're talking about. Junior had so many things on his plate at that point in time. He was relying on Scars. He would have never thought that, although Junior distrusted everybody. And I guess doing the look back, he had every right to, but it wasn't, you couldn't handle it. One person couldn't handle it. So it didn't matter what Junior surmised or didn't surmise. As long as he was getting that shoebox and he was happy with it. Remember, someone's kicking up that, a guy like Patsy Conti. These guys are kicking in hundreds of thousands a month. Before you're kicking in that kind of money, what are you keeping? It's common sense. But a lot of the people here don't get the life. They don't understand it. It's just common sense. Especially made guys. All they do is steal. You go to jail, an hour later, there's a maid guy at your house trying to sleep with your wife. Come on, respect. When John was out on the street, that would never go on. You wind up dead. You'd wind up dead if you did that.
Rocco says, I truly believe that Scars was skimming off the top, and that's why he was shelved. Pete needed to show everyone that he was the boss.
You know, Rocco, I don't normally agree with you. You may be right. But where Pete was wrong, he still should have made sure that Scars had proper legal representation. You know, so you could look at it both ways. Yeah, this Matthew Wells, though, tapes have been played a lot. They weren't played a lot. And whether they were or they weren't, Scars should have had enough respect for his best friend. God sent his kids. Junior took him over me. God sent his kids to say to RJ, we're not playing that tape. Like I said, the difference between Gravano and Scars is Gravano is a pedophile and a degenerate lowlife. Scars was not and is not. That's the only difference. Scars hurt plenty of people in organized crime. So let's get off this kick about Scars like he's this Mother Teresa or this saint. He was no saint. He was a cooperator, and he hurt plenty of guys in organized crime in all families. Plus the 302s he created.
Mike says, Lewis, why are you getting irritated about Scars playing that video of Senior and Junior having their last visit? Respectfully, Lewis, I'm just trying to see if I'm missing something.
Yeah, Mike, when you look at that tape and you see the physical condition that John Sr. was in, and you know how John Jr. had to feel that he's never going to see his father again alive, it goes to your character. It goes to everything that you are. And many times when I was with John, Scars would be there. Okay, with Jackie Knows. See, Jackie Knows was very easy for Mikey Scars to manipulate because Jackie Knows was broke. So if you gave Jackie Knows $300-400, you were Jackie's man. He loved you. You know? So Scars knew how to get around Jackie Knows. It wasn't hard. You didn't have to be a genius to get around Jackie D'Amico. If it wasn't for the fact that I was with Scars and I knew of Scars, you know, he embellishes it a little bit, but John did like him. Okay? Not to the level where Scars lead you to believe, but to play that tape, you got to be a real lowlife. You got to be a real creature to play that tape when you know that Junior's never going to see his father again. And to look at the physical condition that John was in, John Sr. I hope you hear this, Angel. Go send Scars another love note, another comment. You should be ashamed of yourself, Angel. You need money that bad? Go to your brother. There was enough money left there for your brother to take care of you. Go to your brother for money and shut down your site, Angel. Plenty of money was left there. Your father provided for everybody. What's with Tony Pizza? I knew 3 Tony Pizzas. You got to tell me, Peter, which Tony Pizza? Everybody's Tony Pizza. Peter Pizza, Tony Pizza, Harry Pizza, John Pizza, Frankie Pizza. Everybody's a pizza. I'm a little crazy today. You guys got to bear with me. I think John created a Louis pizza, a Louis pizza.
I don't know, Lewis.
I don't know. Everybody was a pizza. Tony Pizza, Frankie Pizza, Mikey Pizza.
Yeah, you come out hot tonight, man.
Yeah, I'm a little twisted today. You know, I got this dog. It's called a Belgian Malinois, and this dog is driving me crazy. Everybody warned me not to get it. I love the dog, but it keeps you working. It keeps you busy.
Mm. Let's see. Bruno says, get it off your chest.
Yeah, and Bruno, is that dog a Belgian Malamar or is that a Shepherd? You got to check those Belgian Malamar. What a dog! This dog is amazing that I have.
Is it it's a big dog?
It's a big dog. Right now, it's about 40 pounds, 50 pounds, but it's a beast.
Hmm.
I just hope the dog doesn't turn on me if I don't want the dog to find out that I cooperated. I don't want the dog to get pissed at me. Otherwise, I have to give the dog to you, Jess.
I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, Matthew says Peter Gotti screwed over a lot of guys. Listen, Peter Gotti, he didn't really have the brains to screw anybody over deliberately. If Peter screwed anybody over, it was just, a little stupid, a little greedy, and he knew his days were numbered, so he just wanted to, catch it up while he could.
Well, Lewis, let's move on from that topic. I got a couple other things that I wanted to ask you about. I got to let you cool down a little bit, man.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. It's came up in a few videos that we've done, and I wanted you to touch on it. But a guy asked a question about the planned hit on the journalist Jerry Capisci. What was going on around that time, and what was being said, and did you hear anything during that period of time?
Well, Junior despised Jerry Capisci, and he wanted to harm him. And I had brought that to his father. This was when John was pre-trial in the MCC, and his father, absolutely not. His father told him absolutely not. But Junior didn't like Capisci. And as far as Sliwa's thing, Sliwa's hit was an embarrassment. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that also, Curtis Sliwa, that whole thing. Now that hit actually did go down. It just was unsuccessful.
It was just unsuccessful, and there were guys on that hit that were not made members of the Gambino family. And I'm not going to get into that as to who they were. I don't want to disrupt their lives. They know who they were. Good guys, good friends of John Jr. Very, very good. Very, very good. A-Light might have been involved in that, but according to A-Light, he was involved in everything. So, they were out to harm Sliwa, no doubt about it. They were out to do him, to take his life.
Well, not that it matters, because rules get broken all the time in organized crime. But, I've always heard that, you're not supposed to touch journalists or civilians. That just seems like out of the box, that they're going after people like that. Was that at the time? Did anybody say anything about that?
Well, when I was on the visit, that was pre-trial. His father, told Junior straight up, no. And he said it a lot more aggressively than I'm saying it to you. But, he didn't, John Sr. did not like Capisci. Back then, no one really liked Capisci. Because, Capisci had a lot of ins with the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District. That's where he used to get, Capisci back then used to get a lot of his info from the feds. And it was obvious because you couldn't get it from anybody else but the feds back then. And, Senior didn't go for him. And not that Senior liked Sliwa, but it would have brought, definitely would have brought too much heat and too much at that time. But see, Junior wanted to do anything to get his father's attention. And he thought that was a way. Junior, all the kids, and I have to say this, how I felt about John Sr. They were all looking for his attention and his affection. All of them. Vicky, Junior, Angel a lot. Whereas Peter, he had it. He had all his father's affection. John was very, very partial to Peter. Always was. And that's just the way it was. So, it was like me and Peter, and then it was like Junior, Vicky, and Angel. Although John loved Angel's daughter and Angel's son, because remember, they lived across the street from John at the time, and they were at the house every day. Angel's kids and Angel, for that matter. So, Vicky had her life, she had her kids and everything, so it was different. And Junior had his life. He had his life was starting. So it was different. Angel was there, every day. And but Peter was young, and Peter lived in the house, and John was home. So so that's how that went down. What was the question you asked, Jesse? I got off on this thing here. I forgot what you said.
No, I was just you answered it. I just wanted to know if you heard any anybody say anything about going after people that were not in the life, journalists or anything. But you answered. You pretty much answered that question.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. We got about 176 people. Appreciate everyone that's joining us. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and donate to the channel if you can. Let's get down to a couple more questions.
Yeah, there's Bill Jordan. John Sr. was ambushed during that interview that Junior did while he was in prison. No, Bill Jordan, he wasn't ambushed because John Jr. had to get permission from that federal judge in Westchester County, and that judge ordered the BOP to allow his son to visit him. So, I have to correct you on that, Mr. Jordan. And he knew to some degree, not all, because the attorney that would carry that message, I don't believe told it just that way. So, although that attorney was very loyal and very available 24/7 to assist and to help John Sr. medically and, and stuff like that, yes. And in a compassionate way, I have to say that attorney was amazing. Although John didn't like that attorney either, John Jr. He was jealous of that attorney too. Anybody that was close to his father, he got this resentment for. Me, Ali Liza, that attorney, and anybody. Didn't matter. Tony Pizza, it didn't matter.
Vladdy says, I have to be honest, you do seem legit.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's my only gain. I have no gain. I'm telling it like it is. What went down and what my perceptions are. You don't like it? Don't come on.
Global Media Inc. says, you guys have a great show. I enjoy Lewis's stories because you can tell that they are firsthand accounts. Like button smashed. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, Peter Martino, I appreciate what you say. I'm a good guy. You don't have to agree with everything I say. You may not know what I'm saying. You may not be privy to what I'm saying. And I get that and I respect that. Frank Castiglia, I never wanted to be on Michael and RJ's show. Okay. Never wanted to. For what reason? Stop justifying Scar's behavior. It's enough. The only clowns are the people like you, Frank Castiglia, that want to justify his behavior and his stories and his bullshit. It doesn't, he sent for his son to come to Raybrook, okay? Give me a break, Frank.
Just to add, in full disclosure, and you may not even know this, Lewis, but I've spoke to RJ a couple of times here and there about different videos, not recently, but I have mentioned to him, hey, maybe we should try to get together in the future, just throwing it out there. But yeah, you have never said anything to me about
listen,
getting together with them.
Scars I wouldn't do a show with Scars, but if he wanted to, he would never want to. He don't want to hear this. He don't want to hear me saying this shit to his face. It blows his cover. And Johnny Boy, Scars ratted on more people than Sammy did. Correct. You're 100% right, Johnny Boy. You see, read this one, Skeets, at 7:35.
All right. This one?
Yeah, read that one.
Mikey Scars uses the martini as a chaser after he swallowed a bottle of pills, cowered on a couple levels with his 3 families, 2 personal families, plus his Gambino family, ratting on John Jr.
You know, Skeets, I couldn't say it any better, but I don't want to make it personal. But Skeets, you're right.
American Zombie says this guy's overstepping his bounds on what he knows about the mob.
I don't profess to know anything about the mob, but I do know about John Gotti Sr. and Jr. And you don't have to be a genius. You don't have to figure out what's to know about the mob. What do you want to know about the mob? You can ask the 5-year-old what they want to know about the mob. I can tell you about John Sr., though. That I could tell you about. These other guys in the genre don't know anything about John Sr. They never met him. They never spoke to him. They don't have letters from him. They don't have nothing. They never were with him. They don't know nothing. These other creatures that sit with fireplaces, fake fireplaces, and cobwebs in the corner in the basement, some basement where they come out like on Halloween. These mutts. That's who are these creatures? Oh, and the only time I did, in the interest of transparency, I did reach out to Scars and RJ is when they did the interview with Tony Cardinale. And I said to him, get Tony Cardinale back on for another interview and put me back on and put me on. And RJ said no. I says, but what Cardinale has told you people is lies. It's not true.
This was way back before you and I ever did anything.
Correct. Because any lawyer that wanted to go see John Sr. had to go through me. 1, they wanted to be paid to go see him because none of them went for nothing. Okay. 2, I had to get his permission and him to okay for them to go visit and for him to go to his counselor to tell the counselor whatever lawyer was coming on. You know how many times Al Krieger tried to go see John and John declined the visit, Marion? Even till the bitter end, if you didn't follow protocol, you didn't see the boss. And that's why all the boss is men. So when lawyers wanted to go see John, they had to reach out to me. And that's verifiable. Scars knows that. Junior knows that. Joseph Carrazzo knows that. I'm not saying anything that's a secret. Anybody that knows these creatures, that come with cobwebs in the ceiling, they don't know anything. They're creatures. I don't know where they come from. Who are they? And even worse, Jesse, when these other people that say they're in the genre, what genre? They make it up. They copy your content, and they copy RJ's content, and they copy Nadu's content and practice content. Why don't they come up with their own garbage? Because they got no brains. They got nothing to do. They're broken down valises, and they're just losers. They lay on the computer all day, and they probably play with themselves. What do you think these bums do?
Yeah, I don't know, man. At least be fair about it. Do positive videos as well as
or tell
criticize.
The truth. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
But some people, they go from this show, then they go to Angel, and they want to suck on Angel's nipples. So after they do her nipples a little working, then they come back and they talk about us. This is, this is what these people do, with the fireplace and the cobwebs in the ceiling. This is what these other freaks do. Oh, Angel, did you hear Lewis on with Jesse tonight? Oh, Angel, then they come on our show. Oh, did you hear this? Come on, go get a real fireplace.
Man, Lewis, you are wound up tonight, man. I'm taken back like everybody else, man. But that's good. Like I said, I want you to get it out. Say what you got to say.
This Frank Castiglia, this mutt, he says, I came between Junior. Listen to me, Castiglia, or whoever you are. I never came between anybody. If John didn't want me there, I wouldn't have been there. Okay? Remember that. I never overstepped my boundaries. So wherever I was, that's where Senior wanted me to be. And I did more good for Junior. More good for him.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, Lewis.
Starting from his wedding.
I mean, John was a powerful person, and you wouldn't have been there if he had not wanted you there.
Do you know, Jess, how many captains and people would come to me if they were in trouble with the boss? Lewis, you got to do me a favor. You got to talk to him. You got to do this. You got to please talk to him. These are captains. His men coming to me so I could calm him down. Yeah. Tommy Gambino, Jimmy Brown, Carmine Scandra. I could go on and on. I can name all 20 of them. Danny Marino. Why were they coming to me for? Why? Obviously, because when you have the king's ear, what's that saying go, Jesse? When you have the king's ear, the
makes
ear,
you the king.
The ear is power.
Right.
Access is power. No, Gravano wasn't arrested for being whatever he is, a freak. That was his deal with the government. Why doesn't somebody go get the 302s on Gravano with his brother-in-law Nick? Hey, there's a job for you, Mikey Scars. Go get the 302s on Gravano about Nick Shabetta. You know the story about Nick. How come you never spoke about it, Scars? How come you never said the true story about Gravano and his brother-in-law Nick and others? You knew about it. Stop playing.
Well, I don't think Scars is any friend of Gravano's. I mean,
yeah, but why doesn't he speak the truth? Why doesn't he say what he is, what he knows? Stop playing both ends against the middle.
Let's see what we got here.
Bill Jordan, I don't even know who Tony Pizza is. I had coffee with him a couple of weeks ago. That's not true. Not true. Sorry.
I think I think he came in the chat last week and he said he has met you or something.
Yeah, I don't know. He never met me.
Joey says Lewis needs a drink.
No, yeah.
I think I need one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take. Scars has an extra drink over at the house. I'll get his drink with the martini glass that he holds up for the chief. For the chief. Remember that? Remember that bullshit you used to pull, Scars? For the chief. Oh, Frank Castiglia. Get lost, Frank. You're a jerk off.
BK Shallon says, Lewis, we need a movie of your life.
Yeah.
Vladdy says, let's see the dog, Lewis.
Yeah, Angel and Lewis should have a reunion live stream. Yeah. Maybe we could do the wedding. Maybe I can marry her. I'm divorced now. Maybe I can marry her.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah, we could have the wedding. We'd do the wedding. We could have the wedding at Russo's on the Bay. Jeannie could get us a good price. Yeah. But Angel, I'm allergic to cats. I hate cats. And you got too many cats in your house. So the cats would have to get whacked. You remember your father? Did your father, Angel, ever tell you the story? One time when he was visiting your mom, when they were first getting together, I'm sure everybody heard the story, Junior, Vicky, everybody who's listening. And Senior hated cats too. So one day he went over the apartment and he said to your mom, he says, you got to get rid of these cats. I don't like cats. So John, it wasn't a high story. So John took one of the cats and put the cat on the fire escape. But the cat jumped off the fire escape. I'm sure, Angel, you remember that story? I'm sure you do, Angel. If I know the story, the loving daughter that you were, you must know that story, sis. No, I haven't seen Gene since he's out of prison.
Jennifer says, at the time, Sleevel was slandering the family on his radio station.
That's true. But I don't think he deserved to get killed. You want to give him a beating, give him a beating. But I don't think he deserved to get killed. He thought his father would like that. See, that's the thing. Junior didn't know or understand his father back then. Junior got closer to his father when his father was incarcerated. As crazy as that sounds, but everyone knows that that's the truth. Junior, when John was on the street, they were not close at all. Although Junior tried, he did try, and I tried, but John was difficult. Senior was very difficult. In the interest of, telling it like it is.
Global Media says, props to Jessie for letting Angel speak and not blocking her. She has a right to be heard as well. I haven't blocked or not blocked her.
No, she should come on under her name, act like a lady, and there's no problem with that. But she doesn't. She comes under fake names because she's whatever. Here.
Well, I think a few minutes ago there was a fake Angel Gotti. It was not. It was from another account.
Oh, all right. So let her come on, or let her text you, and be legit. I would speak with her. Here, read this one at 7:52. New York fan, and this is a guy that was always negative.
New York fan says, Lewis, I agree with you. What is that?
What?
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000% that Scars should not have played the tape. But did you do any better by taping your supposed sister's mother, your supposed father's wife, and brother's mother?
New York, you're 100% right. Okay? But again, I'm going to say it again. That never was going to happen. It never should have happened. Okay. That was a conversation that was supposed to take place with my brother, my alleged brother, who never went to see my wife, never did anything about anything that he should have done or taken care of business, financially or otherwise. Okay. The government never sent me to do that, nor would I have complied. So again, it never would have happened. It should have never happened. And the FBI never told me to do that, and nor would I have done that. And again, I call your attention, New York fan, my cooperation agreement was ripped up 3 times. Go figure. Maybe Scars could figure it out. He's the genius. Maybe he's got a tape hidden somewheres. Why do you think they ripped up my agreement? I didn't testify against Junior. Scars walked into that courtroom like a proud peacock. Remember, Mikey? You walked into John Jr.'s trial like a proud peacock. Not me. Although the case agent and the U.S. attorney came to see me multiple times, but we don't want you. I said, it doesn't matter whether you want me or not. Read my agreement. No Gotti, no Junior. Period.
Yeah.
Read my agreement.
Lewis, we've got about 200 people in the chat watching the video. Do me a favor, Lewis. I got to grab my phone charger real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Go to a question real quick or something. Give me just 1 minute. Let me grab this charger.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here. Says here, I'm sure you addressed this already, but if Junior's saying that he was put on the shelf, which then gave him an excuse, Mike, I don't really believe that Junior was ever put on the shelf. I have to say that. And I think that the excuse for the 302, even if he, let's say he was, which I doubt, let's say he was, just because who he was gave him no excuse to meet with the FBI in Mineola. Yeah, he was in Mineola, in a garage, in an old body shop. That's where he met with them. So yeah, that's a total. I don't believe any of that. I don't believe any of that. I just think that's Junior's way of putting a spin on it. Joey Nish, I'm acting a little Meshuggah. No, not really. After a while, Joey, you gotta get it out there. All these stories and these lies and these exaggerations, and by these fraudulent people that make up shorts and make up stories with cobwebs in the ceiling. These are all lowlifes. I don't know where these people come from. And you got to set the record straight. Yep, Jim Docker. Scars ratted on everyone he could. Made a good deal and disappeared. 100%, Jim Docker. 100%. Yeah. Hey, Peter Martino, thank you. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm giving you people is the tip of the iceberg. Remember, 24/7, basically, with a boss. You back?
I'm back, man. I had to just grab my charger. To go back, I want to go back to what you was just talking about a few minutes ago before I jumped off. How did you go about working it into your agreement that you wouldn't testify against anybody in the Gotti family? Because you're right, you didn't. In all those trials with Junior, you never testified.
Junior had 5 trials. Testified. Well, at the beginning, I wasn't with the government at that point. But for the last 2, or maybe the last one or 2, that was my arrangement. And if the government pushed it, which they did, they were pushing it. There was this one FBI agent, Ted Otto, who hated Junior, and Junior hated him. Special Agent Ted Otto, and his assistant Cindy, and they tried every which way. And I said to them, "It's not my agreement. I'm going to read. If you call me, I will read my agreement. It's not my agreement. I am not testifying against him. Whether I like him or I don't like him, I'm just not doing it. There's limitations to what you have to do and what you can do. testified against one person, a dog, a mutt, Artuzo in Florida. That's who I testified against. Nobody else. And again, the wire with Mrs. G never was to be, never should have been. But sometimes when you're in a situation, you can't get out of a situation.
Right. Yeah, I know you've said that they did push it, and we even discussed a letter that was sent to you with, they was pretty pissed off that you wouldn't testify against Junior.
They sent me a letter. You're on your own. If you don't testify, you're on your own. I was always on my own. I never went into WITSEC. I never went into that. WITSEC is a welfare program. They put the picture, you take a New York person and you put them in, I don't know, pick a town where it's bizarre to be in. That's where they put you. And you go to work at McDonald's if you have no money. And this marshal monitors you, who hates you, and they abuse you. And you do one thing wrong and they violate you. And then they come back at you again to testify. You got to understand the government, just so all you people know this. If you tell the government you don't know something, they refresh your memory. I can't tell you the thousands of pages they used to give me to refresh my memory. Yeah, that's what the FBI used to do back in those days. We want you to testify against Jesse from America, Maine. But, Mr. Agent, I don't know anything about. Don't worry, we're going to give you all his 302s. We're going to give you everything, and you're going to know him, and you're going to get to know him. Mm. That's what the FBI was capable of, and what they did back then. So, again, 3 cooperation agreements ripped up. You're all intelligent people. Why? Here, Peter Martino at 7:55. Jess.
I think I just had that one. 7:55. Is it this one? Yeah,
that one.
I was looking for that one. Peter Martino says, Lewis, I take that back. I agree with everything you say. You're very convincing. And by the way, who would know better than you? You were right there. I should have no opinion on any of this.
Well, Peter, you can have an opinion, but your opinion may not be correct. But you're entitled to your opinion. Listen, a lot of guys, and it's coming out in this because I'm sure there's a lot of wise guys and a lot of Italian guys from the neighborhood that are listening and watch this. A lot of people were very, very jealous of me and my relationship with John. I get that. At the Bergen, there were 2 doors, a red door on the left and a red door on the right. So the left red door was where everybody went. And the right red door was where John went. And when I went around the club, I went to the right door. I would say hello to everybody, Joe, everybody, greet everybody. But if I ever went to the left door, he would put his foot up my ass. What are you doing on that door? What are you doing over there? You don't belong there. You come to the club, you go in here. Yeah. You know how many times I was reprimanded for that? Because I could look, you could look at somebody when they're jealous. You could look in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like John used to say, green eyes, green eyes. You remember that, Scars? Green eyes? You had green eyes, Scars. That's how you knew he was looking in your eyes. Who had more greener eyes than you, Mikey? Mikey Construction?
Talk about the, you was telling me about different like functions and out to eat and that sort of thing. And you told me several times that there was a chair next to John that everyone knew not to sit in that chair. And can you talk about that? Sure.
We used to go out to dinner to this restaurant, Altamonte's, if I'm saying it right. Angel will correct me. And, we would go, the kids were all young then. My wife wouldn't go sometimes, or sometimes she would go, whatever. And right next to John's good ear, there'd be the empty seat would be open. And so if and I would get there and, you could see back then, I recognized the jealousy, and that seat was left open for me. I didn't ask him to keep the seat open. I didn't tell him to keep the seat open. If anything, I didn't want him to keep the seat open because I knew where I stood with him. He would keep it open, and I would sit next to him. Not Angel, not Junior, not that guy, not Carmine, me, next to the boss. on a Sunday at family dinner? Me.
What kind of looks would you get from other people around?
Well, they were all kissing my ass, so that, but, now you do the look back, and obviously, they were resentful.
Yeah.
But I can understand that, But you see, John had that Machiavellian personality, so he liked some of that. He liked that playing one against the other. That I have to say. Yeah, Joey Nish. You see what Joey Nish says?
Let me find it. Bill Jordan, real quick. Bill Jordan says Lewis is in the zone tonight. He likes your passion.
Thank you.
Where is the one? What number's
759? Joey Knish.
Joey Knish says he who has the king's ear is king.
Yeah. But I never abused it. I never abused it. I didn't have to abuse it. It was just, it was given. It was a given. Here's one. Who clipped Scars' brother? I have no idea. And here's one from Bo. How would I know who clipped? What do I think of Gene Borello? He's an asshole. He's a bipolar asshole. Cindy, I'm not ignoring Angel's comments. If Angel wants to come on, let her come on. I'm not stopping her. In fact, I'll go on her show. Tell her to drop me the link.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I haven't seen Angel Gotti on here. There was a fake account that said Angel Gotti a few minutes ago.
Listen, Angel knows how to come on the show if she wants to. She knows. My sister knows. Hey, Lewis, what was John's biggest weakness? He was tricked by Gravano. That was the weakness. Gravano fooled him. And I don't know how, because John was sharp as a tack. But you see what it is? He was bringing those suitcases full of money. Gravano knew how to get him. Yep, Gene Borello is a lowlife nobody. Yeah, Gene Borello's a wacko. A whack job.
Several people.
What's Gene Borello going to do when he's in jail, state jail in Florida? What's he going to do? Is he going to do interviews from state time when he's on his back?
Several people are wanting you to tell the Nick Scabetta story.
It's a simple story. Nick Scabetta was Gravano's boyfriend. That was his main man. They were lovers. And then when Scabetta was going to out him, he killed him. And then chopped him up and put him in the backyard. His family backyard with his wife and kids. Here. Carmine Agnello was active in Cleveland. My thoughts. I always like Carmine. Good earner, big earner. I have nothing to say bad about Carmine. John used to think he was a moron, but whether he was or he wasn't, he was a good earner. Good earner. I always liked him, like I said.
Did you ever watch Junior's movie,
No.
Gotti?
No. Yeah, John Siddiqui. This is the 5th time I answered this. Angel is John's legitimate daughter. Yes, she is. And he loved her dearly.
Joey says Lewis is acting. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that.
Yeah, that's just
Yiddish for crazy.
Listen, don't feel that way. But after a while, you just gotta say what you gotta say.
You got to say what you got to say. That's right. And we don't really discuss hardly anything, before we do these. So, you you came out hot. You surprised me as well. But you got, like you said, you were there, and these are events that happened and things that have emotion behind them.
I'll read this one. Hamilton RB at 8:05 p.m. This is a good one. This is somebody that has a brain.
Hamilton RB. I believe that Joe the cat was the one who set John up at the Ravenite. John was pissed that Joe wasn't kicking up. Apparently was abusing him and was quite wealthy and owned the Ravenite.
Well, let me explain that to you, Mr. Hamilton. He owned the building that the Ravenite was in, and it is possible that Joe the cat did do that, although we don't know that. John was pissed that he wasn't kicking enough, which was corrected immediately. And the reason John had no respect for Joe the cat is because Joe the cat went to Paul Castellano for permission to kill his son because his son borrowed $200,000 from his father, Joe the cat, and he wouldn't pay his father back. So would you have respect for that man? He went to Castellano to say, hey, I want to whack my son, who's a made guy. I want to whack my son because he owes me 200 grand. So no, John had no respect for him, and John couldn't stomach him. Would you? So that's the answer to that question. And it's possible that he did drop a dime on John going up there. Unlikely, but possible.
Nick says, at least Lewis is telling the truth.
Thank you.
The Truth said, American Made fumbled the ball by failing to drop the link for Angel Gotti's failure, Lewis's sister. Look, like I said, I haven't seen Angel Gotti in this chat. I saw a fake account that was Angel Gotti. If Lewis wanted to do that, I would have no problem doing that.
Yeah. If she wants to come on, let her make an appointment with American Made, and I'm sure Jesse will drop the link.
New York fan says, Lewis, between Scars and Gravano, they testified on over 100 men. Both are no good.
Absolutely. But Scars did more damage in a lot of ways. So let's get Scars off that pedestal and off his high horse. There's nothing special about Mikey Scars.
G's Up says, Lewis, I'm not saying this for you to take this as disrespect, but I hear you talk about people, and one week you like them, and the next week you talk bad about them. It comes across as you're disgruntled.
That's not true. That's not true. If you look at all my recordings, all my things, and Jesse could verify this, my opinion's always the same. My facts are always the same. But when you see those, when I saw that tape and that thing of John Sr. that Scars put on, and then I listened to all the different things, and people bring these things to my attention, you just can't listen to Scars anymore. He's full of crap. After a while, you got to just put him in check. It's not that I changed my thoughts. I changed maybe what I've said in the past, but I bring to you the information before I change it. So it's not just being disgruntled, it's just being factual. And anytime I've changed my thought on anything or my opinion on someone, I bring you my reason why and the facts. And on Scars, I bring you, his son went to see Uncle John, and I bring you that he put that tape on his show with Junior seeing his father while his father had 4 months to live. If you people can justify that, let's drink to the chief. What were you drinking to the chief? When you played that recording, did you drink to the chief? You phony fuck. You weren't drinking to the chief. Come on, Scars, get off your high horse.
Mike DeLuca says, Lewis, would Scars Jr. and yourself not have cooperated if John were still around? Can you talk on the details of your case at some point?
The answer to that question is 100%. Nobody would have cooperated. And in another show, yes, we will talk about that.
Matthew says the government is more treacherous than the mob is.
100%.
Lewis, we've got about 220 people in here. Be sure to hit that like button and donate to the channel if you can. I appreciate all the good questions. What do you think, Lewis? You want to try to get to a few more? We've been on about an hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to get you a glass of water, man. You got to cool down, I think.
or maybe just a martini.
There you go.
Here's one. Yep, that's the one.
John says Ted Otto is a piece of crap scumbag who didn't play by the rules while chasing Junior. Abuse of power.
Exactly right. And when I spoke with Otto, I told Otto that in front of his boss.
Yeah, I think that's one thing for sure that you've helped bring to light over the past couple of videos we've done is this abuse of power with a lot of these people in law enforcement and prosecutors.
If you look at every one of these FBI agents and prosecutors, Gleason, Orenstein, Ted Otto, Phil Scala, George Gabriel, all these guys, they all made their living on John Gotti. Otto was really a dirty FBI agent, Ted Otto. He was bad. He was dirty. And he retired too. Once he couldn't convict John after 5 trials, he finally figured it was done. Yeah, but he was a bad guy.
You remember saying this, Lewis? Roscoe says, hey, Tin Pale Angel, whatever your name is. You said that a few videos ago. He must have thought that was funny.
Mm. Here's one. Lewis wore a wire on JoJo and Danny Marino. There were, just so everybody knows, there were 4 others taping JoJo and Danny Marino, who they still have not even outed. 4 others. So give me a break. They got nothing on JoJo or Danny Marino from me. Nothing. And this guy Mob Rat, how do you even compare me to Gas Pipe, that sociopath? Give me. I wouldn't even read that what you said. It goes to show you what an idiot you are. Here, read this, Bill Jordan. You're a man.
I keep hitting to the same ones you do.
Mm-hmm.
Bill says Lewis knows more about Senior than anybody on the internet.
You're 100% right, Bill. Anybody on the internet and anybody in life. I spent the most time with him on every level, emotionally, when Frankie died, and every way. Nobody knows him. Nobody saw the grief he suffered, that man.
And to follow that comment, The Truth says, and no one can deny it, not even Angel.
Correct. They wish Angel, Vicky, Junior, Tommy the Leprechaun, Louie the Leprechaun jump over the fence, all those guys that Junior was friendly with. They all wish they were in my shoes back in those days.
Al says, why do you think John was so favorable to you?
Because as Peter Martino would say, I'm a mensch. And look that up from one of your Jewish friends, what a mensch is. Because I was able to, trying to be funny, I was able to go in the other aspect of the legitimate life for John. Because John liked to roam in the legitimate side as well, with legitimate people as well. And I was able to entertain that for him. And when we would vacation, we would go away, he was able to relax. He didn't have to be at attention. He didn't have to be the boss at that point. He could just be, John.
Tin Pill says, are you envious of Junior?
Why would I be envious of Junior? Junior was always envious of me. And I don't know for what reason why. I did everything. Think about how bad it would have been for Junior back in those years, if not for me, with his father. But see, Tin Pail, you don't know any of this stuff. You're from another country, from another planet. You don't know anything about John. You don't know anything about Senior, Junior. You're from Sweden or Australia. Is there a mafia out there? I don't even know if there's a mafia out there. So you're from another world. We'd have to stay on this YouTube for 3 days for you even to understand John Gotti. How do you spell John Gotti, Tin Pail? John. His middle initial is J, and his last name is Gotti. So let's start with that, Tin Pail. You got that?
Shannon says, it sounds like Lewis and Scars cooperated for the same reasons. Nobody took care of them or their family.
Entirely wrong, Shannon. Plenty of people were looking out for Scars. Plenty of people. Maybe not Pete. Maybe not Pete. But Scars had his own little clique there. He's a smart guy, Scars. Don't underestimate him. Let's drink to the chief. Drink to the chief. A reunion with Lewis and Angel would bring in big numbers. Oh, my sweet sister.
Did somebody write that?
Yeah.
We'll have to do that, man.
You see, this Tin Pail, although I'm just going to tell it to you again because I don't know, maybe there's a problem with your hearing, or maybe, you don't have Wi-Fi where you're from, the country you're from. The Shibeta killing is the only file which is sealed. It's not sealed, Tin Pail. They just were not talking about it. It's not in his 302s. It's not anywheres. That was part of his deal. That was part of the Pukes deal. don't bring up Shibetta. So maybe I don't know. Maybe your Wi-Fi is not working.
Ball is Life says Junior said a crew wanted to take out Gravano's family after he flipped. He said John Sr. wouldn't let them. Is that true?
That's not a conversation I had with John Sr. So, I really can't. I can't speak to that. But knowing Junior and the fact that to get his father's love and attention and affection, and not to take out his family, but it would have been nice to take Gravano out. I mean, Pete sent 3 guys to go take Gravano out in Arizona. They all crashed into each other. They went on a motorcycle and they crashed into it. It's like the gang that couldn't shoot straight. Pete's guys. I think it was Scalar and a couple other guys went out there to kill Gravano in Arizona, and they screwed it all up. But at least Uncle Pete tried.
That picture that's in the intro with you and Pete, where was that at? Do you remember?
I think that was during the state case. That was, I think, when John was on trial in the state case with that union guy.
Lewis, we're going about an hour and 31 minutes. We've got 231 people into watching the live. Let's
we got a couple
more questions.
This Mikey Whispers on Nadu calling Gene out as the current boss. I don't know any, I'm out of the loop. I don't know. But why would Jeannie want it? He doesn't need money. He has the respect of a captain. Why would he need it? Guy did 30, 40 years. Why, I don't see the logic to it, but who knows?
Smitty says, Lewis, so far no one has came forward to dispute your knowledge.
Smitty, no one has my knowledge. Do you understand? No one in this genre has my knowledge, period. Scars is a made guy and a captain. Didn't know what I know about Senior. No one. That's why you can't dispute what you don't know. You can only be a pretender like these other people are.
New York fan says, Lewis, don't you believe taping John Jr. was as bad as ratting on the stand?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I never taped John Jr. See, John Jr., as smart as he was, all those visits while John Jr. was in Raybrook for the last, I would say the last 18 months of his stay in Raybrook, they were all taped. Every single one of them. The government didn't need to tape Junior. They were taping him already. When John Jr. was incarcerated, every visit he had, whoever visited him, was recorded. Because when you go into a visiting room, if the correction officer says, Mr. Smith, you sit over here, that means you're being monitored. So if they want to bug the chair or bug the wall, they make all your visitors sit in a specific area. So every time anybody went to see John, they all told us where to sit. I mean, John knew that. You don't have to be a private detective to figure that out.
Pete wants to know, Lewis, do you know who Sigmund the Sea Monster was?
Yeah, when Junior got arrested, John got a copy of the indictment, his father, and there was all these people mentioned in the indictment that John never heard of. And so when Junior went on the visit, or when Pete went on the visit, he says, I'm not locked up that long. Who are all these people? Louis the Leprechaun, so-and-so jumped over the fence. Who are these creatures? Where did you find these people from? That's what John was saying to him.
Sigmund the Sea Monster.
Here, Daniel D'Angelo, did I go to Junior's wedding? Yo, bro, I made the wedding. Maybe you were in another country or another planet. Okay.
Mike DeLuca with $20 super sticker. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that.
A-Light, just so all you people know, A-Light had no relationship on any level as a boss with Senior at all. A-Light's friendship was with, what do you call it? A-Light's friendship was with Junior. He had nothing to do with Senior at all. Hey, Tin Pail, my last name was Gotti for all practical reasons. This Frank Castiglia, you were in Howard Beach. Nobody wishes they were me. I'm a screwball. All right. But I had the king's ear, so this screwball had the king's ear. I'm okay with that. I'm a happy screwball. But who are you, Castiglia? Who are you? You still in the park playing with your marbles? Peter Martino, yes, Gravano did kill his brother-in-law. And I don't know whether he profited to that, because that was all top secret.
John says, who do we got to pay to ask questions? Lewis, please explain your cooperation and what you did exactly. That would be like a whole nother show, Lewis.
Yeah.
See any other good ones, Lewis? We've been going about an hour and 38 minutes.
Oh, my God. Let's see what else we see here. I want to keep everybody happy.
We've got 231 people watching.
Hey, Bo, you're right. Scars was close to Gravano. Scars ran close to anybody that he could get in with. That was Scars' MO, just so all you people know that. So when Gravano was tight or in power, he ran to Gravano.
Chris says, hey guys, Lewis, was John the type to call you at all hours? Was it tough at times? Who was your favorite associate of John's? Joe Watts in the convo. Thanks.
Yeah, you were on 24-hour call. Yeah, you never, you know, the back in those days, we had beepers, but yeah, it was that beeper was going off all the time. But I didn't mind it. It was okay. I loved it, as a matter of fact.
Global Media says, two things I find disgusting about the bull. His merchandise, with 19 being glorified, and his pro-AB tats and comments, considering his daughter had married an African-American man and his mixed grandchild. AB referring to the Aryan Brotherhood.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. But you see, Sammy got it back, right? His daughter because Sammy hated African Americans. So look what his daughter married. So there you go. But look what his daughter looks like. So, ruh, ruh, ruh.
Let's get to one or two more good ones, Lewis, and we'll wrap it up. I don't want to run it too long. I don't want to wear you completely out. John says that he'll have to agree with you, Lewis, regarding the tape Scars put up. Completely discourteous, and he lost me and others from that.
Yeah, John Giglio, I agree with you 100%. And here's one, Enzo the Picker. Lewis, did you own Sprats? You might say that, along with John. We were also Paulie Vario was involved in that.
John says, would you do another show explaining your deal and what you did? That would be a great show. Also gives you a chance to dispel rumors. So worth doing.
Of course.
Jason says, hi, Lewis. I know I'm friends with Angel, but is it true that you bribed Jeffrey Lichtman and took the Gotti's money up to $12 million? I'm just keeping it real.
Jason, that's a good question, but it wasn't the Gotti's money. It was the FBI. It was the FBI's money. So once again, you don't know what you're talking about. It was not John Jr.'s money. It was not John Sr.'s money. That money that was given to me was to give to Jeff Lichtman, so that Lichtman was going to take $10,000. And I happen to like Jeff, but you don't have choices. Okay, these are choices that are made for you by the FBI. So yes, Lichtman took $9,500, but they could have still went after him for that, for structuring. Okay, because at that point in time, who knows what was on the street at that point in time, because there's no secrets. There's not a lot of secrets back in those days about anything. So yeah, that was not the Gotti's money. That was the FBI's money. So the FBI paid $9,500 towards Junior's legal fees because Lichtman didn't take the 10. I'm just keeping it real, Jason, as you are.
Right. All
right, Jess.
Yeah, we've been going. It's coming up on an hour and 43 minutes. We've got 237 people. Let's anything you want to add in closing, Lewis? I know we've covered a lot of ground.
No, I just hope everybody understands, that what I say is how I feel and what the truth is. And 99% of everyone that doesn't know Senior, especially the way I know knew Senior. And, everybody, you want to have these fantasies about Scars, that you have it. If any of you can justify him putting that tape recording up, then don't come on the show anymore. If you can justify him putting that up, drink to the chief, you phony what you are.
All right, man.
All right,
well, Lewis, I appreciate you doing this with me as usual, man. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good night.
All right, man. Take care.
God bless.
You too, man. God bless. All right, guys. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already done it. Donate to the channel if you can. And keep following American Made. I appreciate it.